Okay, welcome back to video 2 in our series on SQL. In the last video we were talking about creating schemas and creating databases and so on. And we need to make a note that in general, not all users are authorized to create schemas and schema elements. That privileges to create schemas, tables, and other constructs must be explicitly granted to the relevant user accounts by the system administrator or the DBA. Now then, in addition to the concept of a schema, SQL uses the concept of a catalog, a named collection of schemas in an SQL environment. An SQL environment is basically an installation of an SQL-compliant relational database management system on a computer system. A catalog always contains a special schema called the information schema, which provides information on all the schemas in the catalog and all the elements descriptors in these schemas. Integrity constraints such as referential integrity can be defined between relations only if they exist in schemas within the same catalog. Schemas within the same catalog can also share certain elements such as domain definitions. The create table command is used to specify a new relation by giving it a name and specifying its attributes and initial constraints. The attributes are specified first, and each attribute is given a name, a data type to specify its domain of values, and any attribute constraints such as not null. The key, entity integrity, and the referential integrity constraints can be defined within the create table statement after the attributes are declared, or they can be added later using the alter table command. The relations declared through the create table statements are called base tables or base relations. This means that the relation and its tuples are actually created and stored as a file in the database. Base relations are distinguished from virtual relations created through the create view statement, which may or may not correspond to an actual physical file. In SQL, the attributes in the base table are considered to be ordered in the sequence in which they are specified in the create table statement. However, rows, or tuples you may recall, are not considered to be ordered within a relation. MySQL also allows for the creation of virtual tables, although not with a create view statement. Now we see a create table employee statement here, along with a create table department statement. Now this is standard SQL. And note that it's got create table employee, and it's got an open paren, the name of the attribute, the data type of the attribute, and one of its constraints. So we see attributes fname, middle init, mid init, mnit, last name, social security number, birthday, address, sex, salary, super SSN, which would be a foreign key to another table, and a department number, which would also be a foreign key to another table. And note that right below the list of attributes is the definition of some of the various constraints. And next we see create table department and its list of attributes and the data types of those attributes and some of the constraints applying to those attributes. And then you see the definition of some constraints, primary key, unique, and foreign key. And notice that there is a closing paren after all this information. That is a typical create table statement. One thing to note, you see how neatly this is arranged here. This is arranged neatly so that we can read it. SQL could not care less. SQL, you could pile every one of these words on the same line, or you could put it one word per line if you wanted to. The semicolon puts an end to it, and that's the only thing SQL goes by. My suggestion to you, if you're going to program anything, is to get in the habit of using some sort of neat form like this one does, because that makes it easier for you to debug your work rather than having all these things piled up on one or two lines. It's important to note that in figure 4.1 there are some foreign keys that may cause errors because they are specified either via circular references or because they refer to a table that has not yet been created. Let's go back and take a look. Here we have a super SSN. That is the supervisor's social security number. That would be a foreign key. I bet we'll go down here and see it. Yes, foreign key, and it references the employee table. But wait, we're creating the employee table. So this line will crash as soon as we enter it because we're putting in a command referring to a table that doesn't exist yet. Now, once it does exist, we can go back then and add this constraint with an alter table command. Here's the department table, and notice that it's got a manager's SSNO. Let's look down here. Sure enough, manager social security number refers to the employee table. Now, if we created these tables in the order that we see here, that one would work, because you see the employee table would have been created, and now that foreign key is referring to a table that does exist. Okay, that's been a pretty good session. Why don't we take a break here? We did spend some time talking about constraints, didn't we? So let's make constraint our mystery word for this video. Constraint. So go ahead, submit your mystery word, then go check the knowledge on the material we covered in this video. And when you're ready, come on back to the third in the series of lectures on SQL.